Hey guys, this is the Archivist here, and today we're going to be covering really quickly something. It's something I'm a big fan of. It's SteamGridDB. I just recently started to get into GridDB, and I wanted to essentially end up creating my own grids. So it started with something as simple as a static image. And specifically grid for Steam. So if you go to SteamGridDB.com, they have stuff for GOG, but it's primarily Steam based. They even make you log in with Steam. So this is a Steam grid. If you guys don't know what that is you just access the grid view on Steam and you will see pictures, like almost kind of like cover art for video games. This is one I did, very straightforward, just a static image, and the resolution when you're trying to do 600, when you're trying to do Steam, is 600 by 900. So I wanted to quickly make a tutorial because I couldn't find any, like at all, on how to make animated PNG files for grids. Animated PNG files for grids are basically animated cover art. So if you guys go on SteamGridDB, you can find a few notable people actually, that are doing animated cover art. And there's really no tutorial for it. So I just wanted to create a tutorial showing my workflow and just sharing that, basically, just so that I can share the knowledge so other people can also create their own thing. So I wanted to do something with dead space. Now this is a really popular static image. In fact, I literally took this image from SteamGridDB. It's a PNG file which is lossless, and I wanted to make it animated. So pick an image, and again, I want to just preface this by saying I'm not an expert at animated PNGs. This is just my workflow, my method. You're going to need Photoshop or some kind of image editor, and then ideally some kind of video editor that allows you to output into PNG files, any sequence in the PNG. For this tutorial, I'm using Adobe Premiere 2020. So here we had dead space. So now I was thinking, okay, obviously it's in space, so the hand should just be like moving, right? So what I did was I created a layer mask just for the hand, okay? Just to get the hand out there. So again, I'm going to quickly just access my Chrome real quick and then just go into dead space. And I'm just going to grab the same image that I had. This is the image that I had, okay? Same image that I took. Now, when you grab the hand out of here, okay? When you grab the hand out into its own layer, so I did this and I did layer via copy and I got the hand into its own layer. See, I can just, into its own layer. So I would manage to get the hand into its own layer, but the background would still include the hand. So if you can imagine, once you take the hand into its own layer, now we need to make it so that if we animate the hand, the background where the hand was is able to be by itself. So if you see what I did this. So look at that. So how did I do this? I simply did a bunch of clone brushing, kind of how you do anything really. I just grabbed, alt-clicked, and I just kind of, you see how it's painting? It's just like painting, I just painted. If I copy the A, don't do that, but you see it's painting over. And so the whole thing was painting it to not include the hand. The hardest part is like the ship. So it's not a perfect job, but it doesn't need to be. So when the hand was in there, those areas were hidden. So it requires a sort of perception-based imagination. You see, I kind of just did the runway here, and I just kind of copied these areas. Like right here, you see where the circle is? I just copied this and I just kind of went like that, you know what I mean? And once you get the background by itself, then you can animate it. Now, I don't know how people do it. The way that I animated it was I also took out the debris, because I was like, okay, let's make it more immersive, because the hands moving the debris still, that looks stupid. So also masked out the debris, okay, and then got the background by itself. So once you have all these layers, these elements, try to restrict your image to 3 elements or less. That's ideally what you want. So once you get that, I went to Adobe Premiere Pro, okay, 2020. This is a standalone version. It says Creative Cloud, but I did not use the cloud. And then what I did was I created a project file that was 600 by 900. And I'm going to show that to you guys right now. So I created the project file 600 by 900. Let's just animate it, because that's what the delivery format is. It's in 600 by 900. Now, so essentially I use this to animate, and I just literally put the PSD file in here. And what the beauty of this is that you can always go back. Adobe has a nice environment where you can alter the stuff in the Photoshop file, the Photoshop data file, PSD, and then it will reflect. So this is why I really like, I mean, you know, it's a paid program, but if I hit Control S here, you'll see what happens in the Premiere file. There we go. You see that? See the line just showed up? So the line is on an animated layer, so just ignore that. But essentially, there's so once you have everything, you want to slap all of these, and you want to create individual layers. So when you drag it, Premiere asks you, do you want to do separate layers? Do you want to merge the layers? Keep them all separate, because you worked hard to get all those elements separate. Now the way it works is your background will be video 1 and all elements will be video 2, 3. So it goes from whatever's furthest out needs to be at the bottom. Basically, whichever layers are at the very top should be at the top. Does that make sense? So here, the debris, you see how it says debris dead space? Hand dead space? The debris is over the hand. So if I were to drag the debris over the hand, the debris layer, it should stay over the hand. You see that? It's not getting hidden by the hand. So once I did that, you want to lock layers and you want to animate this. Now, I'm not trying to make this a Premiere animation tutorial, but you guys should kind of just look at separate animating tutorials. But once you've imported this and you've done all that, I want to show the workflow. So you go export, media. But before we do that, let me talk about one thing here. This project is exactly about 12 seconds. It's 12 seconds. 12 is the most you can do. Actually, oh, I take that back. 11 seconds, 11 minutes, 30 seconds. I thought I set it to 12, but clearly not. So 12 is ideal. So let me see. If I were to go 12. Yeah, I missed 12 by a hair. Tiny hair, but that's okay. So I tried doing 15 seconds, but it's not gonna go. One other thing I should have mentioned is when you create the sequence, make sure that you're at 15 frames a second. Don't attempt 23, 24, 30, let alone 60. Don't bother. It will not happen. At least in my opinion. I might be horribly wrong. But I tried 60, I tried 24, and it would seem like I would have to make the seconds so short that I wouldn't get much animation out of it before file sizes got crazy. So my recommendation guideline, create a sequence 600 by 900, 15 frames a second, and then do roughly a maximum of 11 minutes and 30 seconds to 12 seconds. I tried 15, no go. You can try 12 minutes, 30 seconds, 13 seconds. I did not try it, but I can't speak for those. All I know is at 15, forget about it. So now once we have the animation, here's my animation. Very cool, right? I got the animation going. Now once we have the animation, go File, Export, Media. And I want to show you guys that you want to do PNG sequence, match the source, and you just want to export it. Now when you're exporting it, notice how it says frame 000, frame 001. Choose a directory, and instead of sequence 1, just call it frame. I know, don't worry about it, just call it frame. When you name it frame, it will save it automatically with the number sequence. See how mine says 179? So I'm at roughly 12 seconds, right, at 15 frames a second. So that's about 180, right? 180 frames. 179. 179 and 0, that's actually 180 frames. Starts at 0, ends at 179, that's 180. So it is 12 seconds. Now once you get that going, you want to, let's exit out. Let's exit out of here. One thing I want to tell you guys is Premiere exports these as 24-bit color depth, which is really intense, at least when it comes to a simple SteamGrid that's animated. We want to find a way to downgrade that color depth, or essentially crush the colors, as bad as that sounds, to increase compressibility, okay? Ooh, tough word to get out there. I use a program called IRFAN View. IRFAN, I-R-F-A-N View. It's free. Then I go to File, Batch Conversion, and then Advanced. With IRFAN View, we have a bunch of options. Now these options is essentially the ones you want to focus on is this, color depth. We want to nerf the colors. I know this sounds horrible, but trust me. We want to nerf it to 256. Now, if you followed my advice and you did a maximum of 12 seconds, you should be fine. Now, again, this depends on how many elements you have in the image, things like that. It could be, this may not work, but 256 should work. I tested it out a few times. And you hit OK. Now, I want to copy all the files that from Premiere, you see these frame 00s, I want to add all. And then I want to choose another directory. In this case, this folder, JAPNG. Japping, right? So I chose that as my output folder here, and I hit Start Batch. It takes all those, and it's going to crunch those down. I'm going to show you guys what it does. So the file size was 150, right? So check out the file size now. 40. Now that's acceptable. So let me tell you something. So actually this one that I just showed you, 40 is a lower quality version, but that's when I set the color depth to 100. So if you were to go here and you go Batch Conversion, Advanced, Colored, Custom Colors, 100, you'll get these 40, okay? Now, you can in fact see it right here. I put animated HQ and animated. HQ is 61. This one is 45. I know these image sets are 40, but there's an overhead of like 4 megabytes for each file. So if it's 60, you're looking at a 57, 56 megabit file. So keep that in mind. There's always a 4 megabyte overhead for animated PNGs. Now, I use a program. Now you're probably wondering, how do you get this into the actual final PNG? No, you cannot do it in Premiere. I think you can use something called Video Pad Editor. I saw some people on Discord using it in this channel, in the SteamGrid channel. I use a simple command line, APNGs64. Now, once you have that into the folder, I go CD, copy, paste, APNGs64, okay. Now the way it works is you're going to give it the name of the output file, animated.png, the frame file, the first one, in our case it's 000, whoops, PNG, and that's it. Now watch, now if I delete the first animated one, now watch, ignore the HQ, Now if I hit enter, it starts reading all the frames, and look at that. We have an animated PNG in the works, and I'm just going to cancel it at about 10, just so you guys can kind of see. Because I just wanted to kind of show you guys that it does work. So I'm going to close that out. 8. So this does take a while. It can take 5 minutes per picture. So there's 10. Now, when I drag this into Chrome, watch what happens, guys. Drag this into Chrome, hit enter. There's the 10 frames. There it is. That's your animation. It's that simple. I mean, it's not simple if there's no tutorial. I tell you, I tried finding a tutorial. It took me all day to figure all this out. But I wanted to make a tutorial for anybody who wanted to make their own, essentially their own animated PNG, because the more the merrier. So there it all is. And yeah, feel free to ask me any questions on Discord. My name is The Wolf Among Us 8566 on Discord. I don't think there'll be any questions. Just note that I am using Premiere, Photoshop, and APNGs. I can't really help outside of that. But I think this tutorial was pretty straightforward in terms of how to create animated PNG files for SteamGridDB.